Hi, Mark Pelly here, Registered Migration Agent at Visas to Australia. Today we're going to be talking about the Employer-Nominated Visa, Subclass 186. Now this visa has three particular streams, and you need to be eligible for one of the three streams to apply. There is the Temporary Residence Transition stream, the Labour Agreement stream, and the Direct Entry stream. The cost of the Employer-Nominated Visa Subclass 186 is currently $4,045. Now there are additional costs for each applicant who is a family member, as well as health, character and biometric tests as well. You may incur costs for skills assessment checks as well if it's applicable to your nominated job position. The Employer-Nominated Visa Subclass 186 is a permanent visa, so you're allowed to stay in Australia indefinitely. You can work and study in Australia, enroll on the Medicare program, and travel to and from the country for up to 5 years. After 5 years, you either need to apply for Australian citizenship or a resident return visa. Now, to discuss the different types of streams that are available in the Employer-Nominated Visa Subclass 186, we're going to start with the Direct Entry stream. Now, the Direct Entry stream is for people who have never or only briefly worked in Australia. To be eligible for the Employer-Nominated Visa Subclass 186 Direct Entry stream, you'll need to meet the following criteria. Your occupation must be on the relevant list of eligible skilled occupations. You have to have relevant work experience of at least 3 years in the desired occupation, unless exempt. Those exempt from the skills assessment are also exempt from having the relevant work experience. You must have appropriate licensing, membership or registration if it is required for your occupation. You need to have the relevant skills assessment. Your skills assessment must have been obtained within the last 3 years. You can be exempt from the skills assessment if you have been nominated as an academic, such as a university lecturer or faculty head at the academic levels A, B, C, D or E by an Australian university. Alternatively, you need to have been nominated as a scientist, researcher or technical specialist by an Australian government scientific agency. Or you hold a special category visa, subclass 444, or a New Zealand Family Relationship Visa, subclass 461, and have worked for the employer who nominated you in the nominated position for at least 2 years in the 3 prior to your date you applied for this visa. You need to be nominated by your employer. Your employer must be eligible to nominate you and apply to do so. You need to be under the age of 45 when you apply. If you are 45 or over after invited, you can still apply. People exempt from this age restriction include those who are nominated as an academic, as mentioned above, or those who hold a special category subclass 444 visa and have worked for the employer for more than 2 years and 3 months immediately before they applied. Finally, if you are nominated as a scientist, researcher or technical specialist by an Australian government scientific agency, age limits do not apply. You must be able to demonstrate that you have at least competent English. You need to meet all necessary health and character requirements, sign the Australian Value Statement, not have had previous visas cancelled or refused, and ensure that you pay back any debts to the Australian government. Now we're going to talk about the Labour Agreement stream. For the Employer-Nominated Visa Subclass 186, you can apply under the Labour Agreement stream if you and your employer are subject to a Labour Agreement. To be eligible for the Employer-Nominated Visa Subclass 186 Labour Agreement stream, you will need to meet the following criteria. You must currently work or will work for your employer under a labour agreement. You must have suitable English language skills, experiences, skills and attributes for the position. The labour agreement will provide guidance on these. You need to have appropriate licensing, membership or registration if it's required for your occupation. You must be nominated by your employer. Your employer must be eligible to nominate you and apply to do so. You need to be under 45 when you apply, unless the labour agreement provides otherwise. You must currently hold a subclass 457 or TSS visa issued under the Labour Agreement stream. You need to meet all necessary health and character requirements, sign the Australian Value Statement, not have had previous visas cancelled or refused, and pay back any debts to the Australian government. Finally, we're going to talk about the last stream available, which is the Temporary Residence Transition stream. Now, the important date for this stream of visa is the 18th of April 2017. Now, to apply for this visa, you need to have either held a subclass 457 visa, or a temporary transition stream visa, subclass 482, or a related bridging visa, class A, B, or C. To be eligible for the Employer-Nominated Visa, subclass 186, temporary residence transition stream, you need to meet the following criteria. You must have the required skills and qualifications needed for the nominated position. You may be asked by the department to demonstrate that you have those skills. You need to be licensed, registered, or a member of a professional body if it's mandatory in the state or territory that you work in for your nominated position. You need to have the relevant work experience. Your employer must have sponsored you to work full-time on your Subclass 457 or 482 visa for at least 3 years prior to nominating you for the Subclass 186, or if you held the Subclass 457 by the 18th of April 2017, your employer must have sponsored you to work full-time for at least 2 of the 3 years prior to nominating you for this visa. If the business ownership of the Subclass 457 or 482 visa sponsor has changed in the last 3 years, for example due to business sale, takeover or restructure, you might still be able to count the time you worked for the previous business. You need to be nominated by the employer who sponsored you for the temporary work visa, such as the 457 or 482. Your employer will need to continue to meet eligibility requirements for nomination. You must meet the age requirements. Generally, this is under 45 years of age unless you meet the following exemptions. For example, you were granted the 457 visa prior to the 18th of April 2017, in which case you could be under 50 years old, or you were nominated as an academic, such as a university lecturer or faculty head at the academic levels B, C, D or E by an Australian university, or you were nominated as a scientist, researcher or technical specialist at the ENSCO skill level 1 or 2 by an Australian scientific government agency, or as a Subclass 457 or TSS visa holder, you've been working in the nominated occupation for the nominating employer for at least 3 years and your earnings were as much as the Fair Work High Income threshold for each year of that period. Or, finally, you are a medical practitioner who has worked in your nominated occupation for at least 3 years as a 457 or TSS visa holder, and for 2 of those 3 years you are employed in regional Australia and the position is in regional Australia. You will need to meet all necessary English language requirements. You must have at least competent English. There are no exceptions. As stated, you will need to hold either a Subclass 457 visa not granted under a labour agreement stream or a TSS visa for an occupation that is on the skills list. Alternatively, you can hold a related bridging visa A, B or C. The bridging visa must have been granted after your Subclass 457 or TSS visa expired. Like with all streams of this visa, you need to meet all necessary health and character requirements, sign the Australian Value Statement, not have had previous visas cancelled or refused, and you need to pay back all debts to the Australian government. And finally, I want to talk about the employer's eligibility for nomination. The employer cannot have any adverse information against them which will prevent them or preclude them from applying to nominate you for the position. Further, they need to have applied for nomination and you need to have applied for this visa within 6 months of the approval of their nomination for this visa. That said, this visa can be quite complex to apply for, therefore we recommend you use a registered migration agent. At Visas to Australia, we'll be able to help you with all aspects of the visa preparation. Give us a call, contact details and links are in the description below. Mark Pelly here, registered migration agent at Visas to Australia. We look forward to talking to you very soon. Make sure you click the subscribe button and stay tuned for our future videos about different types of Australian visas.